So we'll just do a little interview here, and you do your best on the reports. And then don't be shy when you see us around the palace. We aren't here every day, but we'll be around. Okay, I said meekly. I really didn't want to talk to camera crews. It all felt so intrusive. So, America Singer, yes? She asked, just seconds after a red light lit up on the top of the camera. Yes, I tried to push the nerves out of my voice. I have to be honest. You don't look like you changed too much to me. Can you tell us what happened in your makeover today? I thought. They put layers in my hair. I like that. I ran my fingers through the red strands, feeling how soft my hair was after professional care. And they covered me in vanilla lotion. I kind of smell like dessert, I said, sniffing my arm. She laughed. It is lovely. And that dress really suits you. Thanks, I said, looking down at my new clothes. I don't typically wear a lot of dresses, so this is going to take a little getting used to. That's right, my interviewer said. You're one of only 3 5s in the selection. How has this experience been so far? I searched my head for something that would describe how everything had felt today, from my disappointment in the square to the sensation of flying to the comfort of Marley. Surprising, I said. I imagine there will be more surprising days to come, she commented. I hope they're at least a little calmer than today, I said with a sigh. How do you feel about your competition so far? I swallowed. The girls are all really nice, with one glaring exception. She said, seeing through my answer. So, how do you feel about the way your makeover turned out? Worried about anyone else's look? I considered that. To say no sounded snotty. To say yes sounded needy. I think the staff has done a great job bringing out each girl's individual beauty. She smiled and said, all right, I think that'll be enough. That's all? We have to fit 35 of you into an hour and a half, so that will be plenty. Okay, that wasn't so bad. Thank you for your time. You can head over to that couch over there, and you'll be taken care of. I stood and went to the large circular couch in the corner. 2 girls I had yet to meet were sitting there talking quietly. I looked around the room and saw someone announcing that the last batch was heading in. A new flurry began around the stations. I was focused on it and almost didn't notice Marley sit down beside me. Marley, look at your hair. I know, they put extensions in it. Do you think Maxon will like it? She looked genuinely worried. Of course, what guy doesn't like a gorgeous blonde? I said with a playful smile. America, you're so nice. All those people at the airport loved you. Oh, I was just being friendly. You met people too, I countered. Yeah, but not half as many as you. I lowered my head, a little embarrassed for being complimented over something that seemed so obvious. When I looked up, I turned to the other 2 girls sitting with us. Emeka Brass and Samantha Lowell and I hadn't been introduced, but I knew who they were. I did a double take. They were looking at me funny. Before I had time to guess why, Sylvia, the woman from earlier, approached us. All right, girls, are we all ready? She checked her watch and looked at us expectantly. I'm going to give you a quick tour and take you to your assigned rooms. Marley clapped her hands, and the 4 of us rose to leave. Sylvia told us the space we were currently using to get pampered was the woman's room. Usually the queen, her maids, and the handful of other female family members entertained themselves there. Get used to that room. You'll be spending a lot of time there. Now, get on your way in you past the guest room, which is generally used for parties and banquets. If there were too many more of you ladies here, that's where you'd be taking your meals. But the regular dining room is large enough to meet your needs. Let's take a quick step in there. We were shown where the royal family ate, at a table alone. We would be seated at long tables to either side, so the setup looked like a very stiff U. Our places were currently assigned, set with elegant place markers. I would be sitting next to Ashley and Tiny Lee, who I'd seen go through the women's room earlier across from Chris Amber's. We left the dining hall and continued on down a set of stairs and saw the room used to broadcast the Ilia Capitol Report. Back upstairs, our guide pointed down a hall where the king and Maxon spent most of their time working. That was off limits to us. Another thing that is off limits, the third floor. The royal family has their private rooms set up there, and any sort of intrusion will not be tolerated. Your rooms are all located on the second floor. You will inhabit a large portion of the guest rooms. Not to worry, though, we still have room for any visitors coming through. These doors here go out to the back garden. Hello, Hector Markson. The two guards at the doors gave a quick nod. It took me a moment to recognize that the large archway to our right was the side door to the great room, meaning that the women's room was just around the corner. I was proud of myself for figuring that out. The palace was kind of like an opulent maze. You are not to go outside under any circumstances, Sylvia continued. During the day, there will be times when you can go into the garden, but not without permission. This is merely a safety restriction. Try as we may, rebels have gotten within the grounds before. A chill went down my body. We rounded a corner and walked up the massive stairs to the second floor. The carpets felt so lush under my shoes, like I was sinking an inch every time I took a step. High windows let in light, and it smelled like flowers and sunshine. Large paintings hung on the walls, depicting the kings of the past and a few renderings of old American and Canadian leaders. At least that's what I guessed they were. They didn't wear any crowns. Your things are already in your rooms. If the decor is unsuitable, just tell your maids. You each have 3, and they are already in your rooms too. They will help with any unpacking you might have and will help you get dressed for dinner. Before dinner tonight, you will meet in the women's room for a special screening of the Ilia Capitol Report. Next week, you'll all be on the show yourselves. Tonight, you'll get to see some of the footage that they've taken of you leaving your homes and arriving here. It promises to be very special. You should know that Prince Maxon hasn't seen anything yet today. He'll see what all of Ilia will see tonight, and then you will officially meet him tomorrow. You girls will all be having dinner as a group, so you will begin to meet one another, and then tomorrow the games begin. I gulped. Too many rules, too much structure, too many people. I just wanted to be alone with a violin. We moved across to the second floor, dropping off selected girls at their rooms. Mine was tucked around a corner in a little hallway with Burial, Tiny, and Jenna. I was glad it wasn't quite in the middle of things like Marley's room was. Maybe I'd have a little privacy like this. Once Sylvia left, I opened my door to the excited gasps of 3 women. One was sewing in a corner, and the others were cleaning an already perfect room. They scurried over and introduced themselves as Lucy, Anne, and Mary, but I forgot which was which almost immediately. It took quite a bit of convincing to get them to leave. I didn't want to be rude since they were so eager to serve, but I needed time alone. I just need a little nap. I'm sure you've had a long day too, getting ready and all. The best thing you could do is let me rest. Get some rest yourselves, and please come wake me up when it's time to go downstairs. There was a flurry of thanks and bows, which I tried to discourage, and then I was alone. It didn't help. I tried to stretch out on my bed, but every part of my body pulled tight, refusing to let me get comfortable in a place that was so obviously not meant for me. There was a violin in the corner, as well as a guitar and a gorgeous piano, but I couldn't bring myself to bother with them. My backpack was securely fastened, waiting at the foot of my bed, but that felt like too much work, too. I knew they'd set special things for me in my closet and drawers and bathroom, but I didn't feel like exploring. I just lay there, still. It felt like only a few moments before my maids quietly tapped on my door. I let them in and, as strange as it was, let them dress me. They were just so excited to be helpful, I couldn't ask them to leave again. They pulled parts of my hair back with delicate pins and freshened my makeup. The dress, which, along with the rest of my wardrobe, had been created by their hands, was deep green and floor-length. Without those tiny heels again, I'd stumble all over it. Sylvia knocked on my door promptly at 6 to take me and my 3 neighbors down the hall. We waited in the foyer by the stairway for everyone to come, and then marched down to the women's room. Marley spotted me, and we walked together. The sound of 35 pairs of heels on the marble stairs was the music of some elegant stampede. There were a few murmurs, but most girls were silent. I noticed as we passed the dining room that the doors were closed. Was the royal family in there now, perhaps taking in one last meal as the three of them? It seemed strange that we were their guests but hadn't met a single one of them yet. The women's room had changed since we left. The mirrors and racks were all gone, and tables and chairs dotted the floor along with some very comfortable-looking couches. Marley looked at me and inclined her head toward one of the couches, and we sat there together. Once we were all settled, the TV was turned on, and we watched the report. There were the same announcements as ever, budget updates for projects, progress of the war, and another rebel attack in the east. And then the last half hour was Gavril making commentary over the footage of our day. Here, Miss Celeste Newsome says goodbye to her many admirers in Claremont. It took this lovely young lady more than an hour to break away from her fans. I saw Celeste smile smugly as she watched herself on screen. She was sitting next to Burial Pratt, who had her hair straight as a bone and so pale blonde it looked white as it fell to her waist. There was no mild way to put it. Her breasts were huge. They crept out of her strapless dress, tempting anyone to try and ignore them. Burial was beautiful, but in a typical way. It was similar to Celeste's style. I wasn't sure exactly how, but the image of them side by side prompted the thought, keep your enemies closer. I think they'd singled each other out right away as the other's strongest competition. The others from the Mid-East were just as popular. Ashley Brulette's quiet, refined demeanor set her apart immediately as a lady. As she carries herself through the crowd, she wears a humble, beautiful expression not too different from the face of the Queen herself. And Marley Tams of Kent was all bubbles as she departed today, singing the national anthem with her send-off band. Pictures of Marley smiling and embracing people from her home province flashed across the screen. She's an immediate favorite of several people we interviewed today. Marley reached over and squeezed my hand. That settled it. I was pulling for Marley. Also traveling with Miss Tams was America Singer, one of only 3 5s who made it into the selection. They made me look better than I felt in the moment. All I remembered was searching the crowds, sad. But the footage they chose of me searching made me appear mature and caring. The image of me hugging my father was touching, beautiful. Still, it was nothing compared to the images of me in the airport. But we know casts mean nothing in the selection, and it seems Lady America is not to be overlooked. Upon landing in Angeles, Lady Singer was the crowd darling at the airport, stopping to take pictures, sign autograph, and simply speak to anyone there. Miss America Singer is not afraid to get her hands dirty, a quality that many believe our next princess needs. Nearly everyone turned to look at me. I could see it in their eyes, the same look I'd gotten from Emeka and Samantha. Suddenly those stares made sense. My intentions didn't matter. They didn't know I didn't want this. In their eyes, I was a threat, and I could see they wanted me gone.